What is up, YouTube? It's your boy AJ Talk Sports. I'm back at it again live with another Ball Mania 7 draft. I'm coming out to you guys today from the 102, and we're going to go ahead and select none other than Jahmyr Gibbs, who we believe to be the single best running back. Actually, you know what, guys? Yeah, let's go Jahmyr Gibbs. We'll go Jahmyr Gibbs at pick 102. And guys, today's draft is going to be themed around breaking free of our fears and removing the fear of failure from the equation, in addition to operating from the first principles of creativity. And today, guys, we're going to go ahead and draft the BBM 7 champion today from the 102, and we're going to free our minds from any constraints, and we're simply going to draft the best possible team we can here today. Pretty straightforward draft so far. Let's reiterate, guys, what the first principles of creativity are. It's essentially the process of breaking down complex concepts and problems into their most basic, undeniable truths, and then reconstructing them in a novel way. So the 4 pillars of creative first principles are elemental deconstruction, stripping away all societal norms, industry standards, and assumptions to identify the irreducible facts of a problem. So we're going to be stripping away all forms of ADP, all forms of constraints, all fear of not being able, all fear-based drafting, and we're simply going to be free and express ourselves through this draft in every, most bold way we possibly can. Number 2 is combinatorial play. Essentially, the synthesis of combining unrelated concepts into a new arrangement, because no idea is truly created in a vacuum. Creativity is essentially the novel combination of existing elemental building blocks, guys. And third is the constrained emergence. Original outcomes are not born from limitless freedom. They're actually born from applying the rules of, applying the application of rules, friction, and limitations that actually redirect and force that energy into new pathways that have been unexplored. And speaking of exploration, that is the 4th option. That is the 4th pillar. The willingness to experiment and explore without knowing the exact outcome, and be driven purely by curiosity and the drive to resolve tension. And so we're going to be operating from that perspective, guys. We're on the clock here at pick 211, and I'm going to go ahead and select Jeremiah Love without any hesitation or fear about him and his offensive environment, and understand that Jeremiah Love is simply just a transcendent running back, and he is going to be an elite producer in the NFL. And we're on the clock again, guys, and I'm going to go ahead and select I'm going to go ahead and do this, guys. We're going to take Luther Burden. We're going to go ahead and take Luther Burden at pick 26. Pull him all the way up the board, guys. Ahead of Rashid, ahead of Nico Collins. And we're going to go ahead and believe that Luther Burden is a superstar wide receiver along the lines of Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, JSN. And we're going to combine him with Jeremiah Love and Jahmyr Gibbs, which is going to be very, very uncommon in most drafts. And also, Jahmyr Gibbs and Luther Burden do correlate together in week 17. So, thinking from those first principles, that is what we're doing here today. And I'm not, like I said, I'm stripping away all forms of ADP, all illusions of, roster construction. And I'm simply just removing myself from the freedom of failure, from the fear of failure, I should say, and just drafting this team based on these principles, guys. And so there we go with the start. We go Jahmyr Gibbs, Jeremiah Love, Luther Burden at pick 26. And we're off and running on this team, guys. And let's look at why, letting go of the fear of failure, why does that unlock you? And how does that correlate with, the first principles of creative thinking? So letting go of the fear of failure unlocks our mind to remove the paralyzing pressure of being perfect. It's going to shift our mindset from performing to experimenting, and bypassing all self-censorship, embracing vulnerability, and pursuing unconventional ideas. And we're not worrying about the judgment of others, guys. We could care less. And so with the those 4 pillars we thought we went through as far as what the first principles of creativity are, let's see how embracing and embodying the fear and letting go of the fear of failure applies to each one of these 4 principles. So regarding deconstructing foundations. So just as first principles break down complex problems to their core truth, letting go of fear allows us to break down established creative conventions. And so without the pressure to follow a correct or proven formula, we're going to be able to examine the raw elements of our craft and recombine them in new ways totally. And we're going to continue to embrace beautiful experiments. And when we're going to accept failure, guys, as just an inevitable part of the process. Every single draft, we're embracing failure. And we're not worrying about, a mistake. We're not worrying about, trial and error. We're simply just going to be present in the moment and draft the best team that we see fit and possible, and free ourselves from this fear of failure. And let's talk about the third one, focusing on the core why. The first principle of any creative endeavor, guys, is self-expression or problem solving. The fear of failure shifts our focus outwards, and letting go of that fear will strip the work down to its core fundamental truths of what we're trying to communicate and build. And so on the clock here at pick, what is this? 48. We're going to go ahead and select Josh Jacobs, who falls all the way back to us on this build somehow, some way. And our friend Iron City Pounders can take whoever he likes. We're going to simply take the ADP value, and we still get who we want anyway in Colston Loveland, guys. So we start Jahmyr Gibbs, Jeremiah Love, Josh Jacobs, 10 picks past this current ADP. And we're also able to select Luther Burden and Colston Loveland, on this team, guys. And so we're removing all fears of failure. We're removing all constraints, and we're allowing drafting with confidence in our selections, guys. And so just thinking about this, guys, let's go back to this. Let's continue to talk about this. Just as talking about deconstructing the foundations, guys. We don't have to follow any correct or proven formula. We're simply allowing our minds to be free and allowing this draft to come to us, and selecting all the players that just stand out to us and in our hearts we can see just smashing this season. And so we accept failure as just inevitable. I think the most important part of this, guys, that we want to hit on here is accepting failure as just an inevitable part of the process. Every draft, guys, you're gonna fail. Don't try to hop into a draft and say, this has to be perfect. I have to get this guy here. I have to get this guy here, and try to plan ahead. Simply be present, be confident, and let go of that fear of failure and fear of control, and not worry about having a perfect draft. Simply unlock and release that part of your mind, and understand that failure is just an inevitable part of the process, guys. The greatest players of all time, Tom Brady, he lost in the Super Bowl. How many times, guys? 4 times. LeBron James lost in the finals 6 times. These guys understood that failure is just a part of the process, and that doesn't take away from who they are and what they do and how they show up every single day. And they allow the process to be the destination for themselves and give everything they have to the process, and free their mind from the freedom and the fear of failure itself. And so that is our mindset going into these drafts, guys. That is how we're going to be operating in BBM, and that is simply the mindset of a champion. And we are champions, guys. You're a champion. I'm a champion. We're all champions. And so let's get back to this board here. Now that we understand what the fear of failure is, how it applies to the first principles of creativity, and we're going to continue this draft here in Ball Mania 7. We're going to be on the clock here very shortly, and want to reiterate, original outcomes are not born from limitless freedom, but they're born through the application of rules, friction, and limitations that force our energy in different novel pathways, guys. And so understand that there's no perfect draft. Understand that we're free in our minds. Understand that the constraints that the board and ADP provides us is going to be how we redirect this energy into where it needs to go, and to be able to draft the team that's meant to be drafted here today. And so let's go on the clock here. We're about to be on the clock here at pick 71. Our team is looking Jahmyr Gibbs, Jeremiah Love, Josh Jacobs, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland. We're going to go ahead and select Parker Washington here with this selection, and not have any fears. Not have any fears, guys, on this team about who we need to take. Who is that stacking combination. We're freeing our minds from all failure. We're freeing our minds from any kind of conception that we had about what this team needs to look like and who needs to be on this team. and simply just smashing the players that provide in our hearts and our minds the belief that we instill in us. And we're gonna go ahead and take Caleb Williams here. Absolute smash stack with Luther Burden and Colston Loveland, guys. And this is the team through 7 rounds. Caleb Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jeremiah Love, Josh Jacobs, Luther Burden, Parker Washington, and Colston Loveland. Let's take a breath. Let's take some water. Let's re-present and reorient our mind. Letting go of the fear of failure unlocks us by removing the paralyzing pressure of perfectionism. We're not worried about being perfect. Our mindset is not focused on performing. We're focused on experimenting. When we draft, guys, it's a form of expression of experimentation. This is not a practice of trying to build a perfect roster, the perfect, correlation, the perfect roster construction, the perfect week 17 stacks. That will come together as a part of the process. But we need to go into these drafts, guys, and go into our life with this, understanding that failure is nothing but a belief that we have self-constructed to serve the sin of thinking that we're perfect, guys, that we're perfectionists. That's simply false. Okay? And that's simply false. And we need to, embrace and understand that failure. Let's read this here again, guys. When you accept failure as an inevitable part of the process, a mistake is no longer a negative outcome. Instead, a mistake becomes valuable data. Creativity is essentially the process of trial and error. When we view failed attempts as just iterative steps, which are, iterative steps are the fundamental building blocks of discovery. Everyone who's never discovered anything has failed, and it's been iterative. It prevents us from giving up, guys. And so we're operating in these drafts from a full creative, exploratory, experimentative mindset. And so there's no perfect pick at each spot, guys. It's simply, we're going to be on the clock and we're going to take who the board shows us, and we're going to strip away our ego. We're going to strip away our fear of failure, and we're simply going to draft what the board provides us, guys. And I think this is just super critical to hit on, guys. Read this one more time. When you accept failure as an inevitable part of the process, mistakes are not negative outcomes. It's just another data point and a part of the process of trial and error that builds as iterative steps that are the fundamental building blocks of discovery. All right. So allowing the fear of failure allows us to break down established creative conventions, and we don't feel any pressure to follow a certain draft strategy, follow a certain, way to look at things, guys. We don't fear any of that. We're simply just here. We're present. We're on the clock, and we have Jahmyr Gibbs. So we're going to go ahead and take Sam Laporta. Welcome to the team, Mr. Laporta. Bang. Sam Laporta, welcome to the team. Our second tight end. Iron City Pounders is OTC. We're going to be on the clock here shortly. And you know what, guys? We're going back to the well. We're getting the stack. Jared Goff, welcome to the team. We're not worried about ADP, guys. We're not worried about getting value on quarterback. We're taking the guys that correlate with this team. We have Sam Laporta. We have Jahmyr Gibbs. We're taking the second quarterback and going Jared Goff. And that's it. That's simply the pick. That's simply it, guys. Nothing more than that. That's simply it. Beautiful. Beautiful. So we go a Sam Laporta, Jared Goff turn at the 8-9. And now, we allow this draft to continue to flow through us, as it were. As it were. So through 9 rounds, we have Caleb Williams with Luther Burden and Colston Loveland. We have Sam Laporta with Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs. We have Jeremiah Love, Josh Jacobs, and Parker Washington. Absolutely beautiful team. Absolutely beautiful team, guys. Let's continue to build. Let's continue to experiment. Let's continue to push the boundaries of our mind and draft the best Ball Mania 7 champion here today. Let us do so together. We're not afraid to fail. There is no perfect draft. This is an experimentation. This is an expression of our creativity. This is a deconstruction of all ADP. This is a deconstruction of everything that you know and we know about fantasy football. And we're purely experimenting here and playing, and we're in the practice of playing, guys. This is a game that we're here to play and to have fun, and that is what this team does, and that is what this team is. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And we'll simply allow this board to present itself to us at pick 119 and 122. Understand that original outcomes are not born from limitless freedom, but through the rules, the application of rules, friction, and the limitations that force and redirect energy into these new pathways, guys. And we're explorers. When we draft the best Ball Mania 7 team, we are explorers. We are willing to experiment without knowing what the outcome of our team is going to look like. We're driven purely by curiosity and the drive to resolve all tension. That is what we're here to do. Simply that specific, that is it. And we're going to be on the clock here in 2 picks at 119. Plenty of different options to go. Plenty of different players to select from. We're free to pick whoever we want. Romeo Dobbs, welcome to this team. We're taking another wide receiver. Romeo Dobbs, welcome to this team. Our friend Iron City Pounders and OTC, let him do what he needs to do. We're back on the clock here in just 1 moment. I don't care about ADP. We're going Oronde Gadsden, 122. Welcome to the team, Mr. Gadsden. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We now, guys, are sitting at a 2-3-3-3 build through 11 rounds. That is what we're sitting at. A 2-3-3-3 build through 11 rounds. Just glorious. Just glorious. Not worried. We're freeing ourselves, guys. We're free from everything. Simply just drafting the team that we feel in our heart. 3 receivers through 11 rounds. Could care less, guys. Could care less. 3 running backs through 11 rounds. Could care less, guys. Could care less. 3 tight ends. 2 quarterbacks. Beautiful team, guys. Feel free to experiment and expand. your thoughts. And there's no right or wrong, guys. There's no right or wrong. We're simply experimenting for the love of the craft. Simply experiment for the love of the craft. Never forget that, guys. Never forget that. We're stripping away all societal norms, all industry standards, all assumptions, and we're looking at the irreducible facts of a problem. And so when we finish this team after round 18, guys, we're gonna go through every single pick and talk about it. But we're being willing to explore and experiment. We don't know what the outcome of this team is gonna look like, guys. I have no idea. I got no idea what kind of final roster construction this team is gonna look like. Who else we're gonna draft from this team. I'm just gonna be purely driven by the curiosity and drive to resolve the tensions that this team has built, and understand that through the application of the rules and frictions and limitations of Best Ball Mania 7, we're gonna allow that to redirect and force our energy into new pathways and new selections, around this next turn. So we'll see who that will be. Beautiful, 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 guys. Free ourselves from all fear of failure. There's no such thing as failure. In life, in fantasy football, there is no such thing as failure. We're going to be on the clock here at 1:43. Let's take a deep breath and some water. Bye-bye, fear. We're on the clock. Sure. Omar Cooper Jr. Welcome to the team. Wide receiver 4. Bang. Juwan Jennings, Jalen McMillan. Let's go ahead and take Jalen McMillan. Why not? Welcome to the team, Jalen McMillan, at pick 146. Wide receiver 5, Jalen McMillan. Bang. Nothing more to say than that, guys. Bang. So we're sitting at a 2-3-5-3 build. We just double tapped wide receiver. We just double tapped wide receiver with Omar Cooper Jr. and Jalen McMillan. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Let's keep adding to this team in any way we can, guys. Any form we can. Given the constraints of what Best Ball Mania 7 provides, guys, and presents, we need to start 3 receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, and a flex. Considering we spent a lot of draft capital on quarterback, running back, and tight end, let's continue to add to our wide receiving room should the opportunities present itself. Who those receivers might be? Trey Tucker, very nice. Trey Harris is there, very nice. Zachariah Branch is there, very nice. Keenan Allen is there, very nice. Where's Demario Douglas? Somewhere here. There he is. Who else, you guys? Zachariah Branch is fun. Tesla does make sense for this team. Algier is still there. How many picks left do we have on this team? 5 picks? 6 picks? Sure, we can go Algier. Tyler Algier, 167. 2 Arizona running backs. Why not? Why not? I mean, Isaac Tesla, why not? We have Jared Goff. We have Jahmyr Gibbs. We have Sam Laporta. Why not Isaac Tesla? Why not Isaac Tesla? Beautiful. Beautiful stack. Perfectly falls into our lap. Touchdown machine, Isaac Tesla. Lions bounce back season. New OC. I love it. I love it. This team is absolutely beautiful, guys. Absolutely beautiful. We have 3 picks remaining. We're just gonna go ahead and select 3 more wide receivers on this team, given the constraints of Ball Mania 7, as I mentioned, that we need to start 3 receivers every week. So we need maximum ceiling at wide receiver. That's gonna look like Zachariah Branch, Demario Douglas, Keenan Allen, anyone else that we see, guys, that has tremendous upside for this team. That correlates. There's Xavier Thomas as well. Xavier Thomas, very fun pick for this team. Let's do Xavier. Let's do Xavier. We got Caleb. We're doing Xavier. We're doing Xavier. We're doing Demario. We're doing Keenan Allen. Why not? I like Zachariah Branch, guys, but don't know. We'll see. Hmm. Hmm. Let's go Zachariah Branch. Welcome to the team, Zachariah Branch. Beautiful wide receiver addition to this team. You know what? We said we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Xavier Thomas, welcome to the team. Stacked up with Caleb, stacked up with Loveland, stacked up with Luther. Xavier Thomas, Zachariah Branch at the 16-17 turn. Hell yes. Hell yes. Huh. Do we do Keenan Allen or Demario Douglas? We're going to go Demario Douglas. Love Keenan Allen, guys. Hall of Fame player. 120 targets, 2025. Absolute stud. We're going to go Demario Douglas, who I just see has much more upside in the Drake May offense this year. We already have Dobbs as well. Let's get another Drake May wide receiver. Why not? Goes completely undrafted as well. So why not? I think we'll be a massive camp rise here. So why not? Absolutely beautiful team. This team will end up, guys, being a 2-4-9-3 build. Can't say I've ever drafted a 2-4-9-3 team. Can't say I ever plan to. Like I said, there's no planning in this team, guys. It's pure experimentation, pure drafting. Demario Douglas, welcome to the team. And there we have it, guys. There we have it. The team has been completed. All fear has been gone. The team is done. We have, let's see, we have Jahmyr Gibbs, Jeremiah Love. Let's look at this team, guys. Let's really look at this team. We have Caleb Williams, triple stacked, with Luther Burden, Xavier Thomas, and Colston Loveland. We have Jared Goff, triple stacked with Jahmyr Gibbs, Isaac Tesla, Sam Laporta. We have at running back Jeremiah Love, Josh Jacobs, and Tyler Algier. We have Parker Washington, two Patriots receivers, and Romeo Dobbs and Demario Douglas, Omar Cooper Jr., Jalen McMillan, Zachariah Branch, and Oronde Gadsden. Absolutely super fun team, guys. Super fun team. The way this board, allowed us to draft this team is super fun. we just stopped at 4 running backs after starting Gibbs, Jeremiah Love, and Josh Jacobs. Amazing ADP value on Josh Jacobs, and still being able to push Loveland around the turn was just beautiful and worked out perfectly. We were able to push Caleb Williams around the turn and also take Parker Washington, which worked out beautifully. We were able to take Goff Laporta around the 8-9 turn and get Tesla at 170 as well. Nice ADP dips on Cooper and Algier. We went ahead and pulled up Thomas and Douglas to be drafted, who are 2 guys who are, very undrafted at this point through BBM 7. And Thomas runs a 4.2. Zachariah Branch runs a 4.3. Omar Cooper Jr. was a first-round pick. So we have 3 rookie wide receivers on this team, guys. Super, super fun upside there in their situations. And we have, obviously, Jeremiah Love, who's, the rookie one-on-one. And this is what happens, guys. This is what the teams that can come together when you draft from the first principles of creativity. And we completely removed all perception of ADP. We removed all perception of fear. We pushed, guys, we didn't take Caleb Williams at 71 because we saw Parker Washington and we know his talent. And we weren't scared about, getting sniped on Caleb when we already had Luther and Loveland. We weren't scared about not getting Colston Loveland, who we believe has tremendous upside at tight end, because Josh Jacobs was there at 47. We weren't scared about anything when drafting. We weren't scared about pulling up Jared Goff at 98, guys. And it worked out because a massive quarterback run went, and we wouldn't have been able to get anyone who correlates with this team. And so, we weren't scared about stopping at Tyler Algier and taking 2 running backs from the same team, because who knows what could happen with Tyler Algier this year, guys. He could get traded to, any team at any point this summer. You never know. Or this year, guys. You never know with his situation. I can see him pushing for a trade with Jeremiah Love being picked there. And I just think this team allows so much fun options, especially in the BBM playoffs. The Bears do play the Bears play the Bills, the Packers, and the Lions in Week 17, guys. And so obviously Week 17, we have pretty much that entire game tree with Caleb, Luther, and Loveland and Xavion from the Bears side. And we have Jared, Jameer, Tesla, and Laporta from the Lions side. And so we're just onslaught. The way this room turned out, guys, is just, and then it ended up being just a full onslaught of that game, Week 17. And I think that's going to be probably the highest scoring game of Week 17, which just naturally worked out. We got Jeremiah Love on this team as well with Algier. We just talked about how Algier will likely, could easily get traded, which would not only boost Jeremiah Love's value, but obviously skyrocket Tyler Algier's value wherever he goes. And we were able to get him here 10 picks past ADP. And I think Jeremiah Love and Algier on the same team is going to be extremely, extremely uncommon to see with that arbitrage. We got Josh Jacobs 10 picks past ADP, and Josh Jacobs plays the Bears in Week 16, guys, as we just mentioned. And that's amazing. So, and we got Parker Washington at a beautiful ADP. We got Romeo Doubs and Demario Douglas, the Patriots wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 for Drake May, who just came off, a damn near MVP season and is ascending in year 3. We know AJ Brown is going to take away a lot of, all alpha corner coverage. And so Romeo Doubs and Demario Douglas, guys, are likely going to be, in pure single coverage all season, which allows for their skill sets to shine. Romeo Doubs being elite down the field threat for Drake May, one of the best down the field throwers, and Demario Douglas being one of the most underrated slot receivers in the NFL. And, Drake May loves his slot. And Demario Douglas is great after the catch. We got Branch right around ADP, a player who have been a massive, massive fan of throughout his whole career at USC and at Georgia. I think he just provides such a unique element for this Falcons offense as a screen merchant, as a return threat. He can just score and hit our lineup in so many different ways through a punt return, a kickoff return, a rushing touchdown, a screen, a down the field shot. As I mentioned, he's the fastest player on the Falcons. He runs a 4.3. They don't have any other deep threat, really. Pitts is not a deep threat. Drake London is not a deep threat. So that's really fun. Isaac Tesla can score 2 touchdowns any given week. The Lions love him in the red zone, and I think that's going to continue. They invested 3 third-round picks in him, so I think he's going to continue to be a focal point of their team. Jalen McMillan, guys, just a total, wild card at, Tampa Bay. Showed elite flashes as a rookie with 8 touchdowns in that role. Mike Evans is now gone. They replaced Mike Evans with Ted Hurst. I believe Jalen McMillan is a much better player than Ted Hurst. I think Chris Godwin is aging out. I'm not as high on Emeka Egbuka as others. I love Baker Mayfield as a player, and he seems to have a nice connection with Jalen McMillan. Jalen McMillan, a player who outproduced Rome Odunze in his junior year at the University of Washington. Fun fact. And then Omar Cooper Jr., guys. I mean, when in NFL fantasy football history have we got a first-round wide receiver who is a solid prospect from all advanced metrics in the 140s, guys? So I know the Jets are going to be tanking, but that means they're going to be passing likely a lot in the second half of these games. And whether it's Geno, whether it's Cade Klubnik, I think Omar Cooper Jr. is going to be running those underneath routes that he's going to be getting open. And we know Omar Cooper Jr. is the best yards after catch receiver in this entire draft class. So a low ADAT, elite yards after catch, guys, he can, still perform despite poor quarterback play because he's not running down the field in a role like Adonai Mitchell and being a wind sprinter. He's going to be getting open underneath and, moving the chains for their offense. Xavier Thomas, guys, runs a 4.2, and Ben Johnson, I trust Ben Johnson, who hand-selected Xavier Thomas. I trust him. He says he wants to use him at running back potentially. So Xavier Thomas, just like Zachariah Branch, guys, can hit our lineup as a receiver, as a returner, as a rusher, multiple different ways. And I think we're going to see spike weeks out of Xavier Thomas with his speed and this Bears offense. And obviously correlates perfect with this team. And we take Sam Laporta just for the easy correlation since we have Gibbs and Goff. And let's talk about Oronde Gaston, guys, a player who I'm simply just, I've said it again and I'll say it again, the most underpriced tight end in all fantasy football formats. I do believe Oronde Gaston should be going in the 6th round ahead of Tyler Warren. He's a better receiving threat than Tyler Warren, playing in a much better offensive environment with a better quarterback and equal target competition, guys. His only target competition is Lad McConkey and QJ. That to me seems that he could easily lead this team in touchdowns, bar none. And Oronde Gaston put up 700 yards last year. And so we could be seeing a 1,000-yard season and 10 touchdowns from Oronde Gaston, a tight end you can get in the 120s to 140s. And we were simply not worried about ADP. We pulled him up 20 picks early. So this is one of my most favorite teams that I've drafted in BBM 7, guys. I just feel like we executed exactly what we envisioned to start this draft off and completely removed ourselves from the fear of failure and allowed ourselves to, let's go back to this, guys. We allowed ourselves to accept failure as just an inevitable part of the process and understand that mistakes and failures are not negative outcomes. They're just data points, and they're just, our building blocks of discovery. And so I feel like we discovered something new with this team, and we expressed ourselves with this team in so many different ways, and allowed ourselves to be able to build something that I don't see. I personally can only speak for myself that I've never been able to create before, with a triple elite running back build with Jahmyr Gibbs, Jeremiah Love, and Josh Jacobs together, with Luther Burden and Colston Loveland and Caleb Williams correlated and stacked together. Just a super fun team, guys, that I really just enjoy, and I'm really proud of how we executed this build and operate from the first principles of creativity, which again are elemental deconstruction. We successfully stripped away all societal norms, all ADPs, all industry standards on roster construction, on ADP, on player takes, and we reduced our assumptions to the irreducible facts of a problem. We combined these things in a very in a unique way, because we combined the unrelated concepts of the fear of failure and the first principles of creativity, and we combined those kind of mental architectural frameworks with our medium, if you will, of the best Ball Mania 7 draft board. So that's combinatorial play. The constrained emergence, guys, we allowed the application of the specific BBM7 advancement rules, what we understand about correlation, what we understand about ADP, how the board came to us, and we allowed our energy into flow into new directions. Like we took players like Isaac Tesla, Jalen McMillan, Omar Cooper Jr., Xavier Thomas, players that I would never otherwise take. Tyler Algier, I would never otherwise take. But through experimentation, we were able to draft them on this team, guys, and it came together, beautifully, in my opinion. And then finally, I think we executed, this one the best. Exploration, guys. We pretty much took our hands off the wheel and we're just completely willing to experiment. We had no idea how this draft was going to turn out when it started. We had no idea on which play, who we were targeting. We simply just allowed the draft board to come to us and select, in our heart of hearts, just what made sense at that time. And this was the end result. We weren't worrying about the end outcome. We were just purely driven with each selection by curiosity and the drive to resolve the tension that is, was building as the draft board went along. So, specifically the tension was we only had 3 receivers, guys, Luther Burden, Parker Washington, and Romeo Dobbs through 10 rounds. We only had 3 receivers through 10 rounds. So there is that tension was building because we realized and identified that, okay, in BBM7, in Best Ball Mania, we have to start 3 receivers. And so to have only 3 receivers through 10 rounds, that tension was built. And that's why we went ahead and selected Omar Cooper Jr., Jalen McMillan, Isaac Tesla, Zachariah Branch, Xavier Thomas, Demario Douglas, a lot of late round guys that we never otherwise would have selected had that tension not been built. So we overcame it through that pathway and opened up, new draft discoveries for us. And Jalen McMillan and Tesla, Algier, guys that we never take otherwise through this framework. So really proud of how we executed this. Really proud how we removed our fear of failure. This has been one of my most favorite drafts to do. Hope y'all enjoyed watching. Hope y'all enjoyed the content. Blessed and grateful to be doing what I love to do, guys. Blessed to sweep that podium in Best Ball Mania 7 and win the Best Ball Mania 7 championship. This has been AJ Talk Sports. Have a beautiful night.